You're so welcome. We're just going to have a quick chat because I'm aware that we are a bit late.
I'm so sorry.
Schedule. We're a bit late. So schedule.
Hey, everybody. I apologize. I was having some technical difficulties, so across the pond and all, different time zones and Zoom wanted to update, of course, the last second. So, but here we are. Good old Wi-Fi. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm very excited to be here. We got to meet for the first time in June, I think it was. It's been a little bit, so I'm excited to be on the show and tell some stories.
Okay, apologies. I got thrown out as it goes. We get tricked by spirit already. We haven't even, oops. We haven't even started.
What?
Okay. All right. Let's start again. Slowly but surely we get there. Right. So good. Oh, we are live. Okay. I don't know what's going on. So apologies, everyone. I think what has happened is that I got thrown out from the system while I was still live. So fair enough. Ah, wonderful. Welcome, Mikey.
Hey, thank you. Welcome into you too.
I got thrown out and I thought that I had lost the connection as well. And instead, Zoom and Facebook decided to still stay live.
Oh,
Welcome,
okay.
everyone. And I need to say, even though I can't see them, I've got Donna Jackson, and she's saying from Facebook, good evening, Mike.
Good
So
eve.
I take she's one of your fans. And then there's someone on our screens, Iris and Abla. So thank you so much. And Mikey, we
Yes.
haven't spoken for a little while. Has
Yeah,
life been exciting for you?
it has. When was the last time we talked? Was it June?
Yeah, it was like in the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But currently my daytime job, I'm a travel nurse, so I'm actually working in the Dallas, Texas area right now. And I'll be here until January, early
Right.
January, and then on to the next project. But I'm
Oh,
trying to get a little ghost hunting in, you know.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, talking about it, we've got so much to talk about tonight. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to share a picture that you kindly have provided for us. So I'm gonna bring it up so we can start just introducing you a bit more in details, because what has happened here is at the base of your journey as a paranormal investigation, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so there you go. So tell us, this is a picture. Tell
That's
us
a very,
about it. We got more, but let's start with this one.
that's a very young Mikey, back in 2001 with my fiance Julie, and that is our daughter Jelena, who was supposed to have been born on May the 5th, but she came March the 11th. So uh, she was in the NICU for a while there. She wasn't doing well, and I shared this picture because she actually had to be resuscitated at one point shortly after birth. She was having brain bleeds and things like that. So she spent a month or so in the NICU just right out the gate, before any of the other stuff started or happened. So I just, she's had some quite a few near death experiences um, in her young life, but that's her.
Oh.
Brand new in the NICU. She weighed 3 pounds and 11 ounces, I believe. She was just shy of, yeah, she was tiny little
Mm.
thing.
She looks like extremely tiny there, actually, I must say. Um, the reason why I've just brought this picture up, because I would like you to tell us about the experience, the extraordinary experience that you had by your daughter experiencing a near-death experience, having a near-death experience. And just tell us what you felt and what you went through, because it was extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And that is what launched you into paranormal investigation, right?
Yes, ma'am. So about 16 months after this picture was taken, Julie and I had bought a home, and we had a pool, and we were doing some repairs there at the house. And long story short, Jelena fell into the pool and drowned. She was in the deep end. Um, I found her floating face down, and I pulled her out of the water, and she was asystole. She was legally dead, clinically dead. For about 26 minutes is about how long it took for us to get a pulse back. I I started CPR at the house, ended up driving her into the hospital that I worked at the time. And it was 8 minutes after I got to the hospital that we got a pulse. So after that, we transferred down to Loma Linda University Medical Center and spent a month there, where they did an amazing job. she survived and she's home, no residual effects. But well, I would say none, but we did have one. I guess we would consider it. We shortly after we got home from that incident, we started experiencing some paranormal activity. Um, Jelena would wake up with night terrors,
Oh,
screaming, just screaming, and I was having night terrors too, but mine I think were more related to the drowning. I had a little post-traumatic stress.
yeah.
Um, I still do that, but she was being uh, she would call this thing that she saw little man, and it would come in the middle of the night and during the day. It didn't matter if she was at the park. It was just a constant thing where this thing that she called little man was tormenting her, and I had no idea what was happening. And as a father, after especially going after that, already losing her, getting her back, losing her, getting her back, I it was overwhelming. But I kind of dove into this paranormal world trying to find answers, is what got me started. I started watching the TV shows because I thought I could maybe see something that someone else was going through, and I could try to do something at home. I was just reaching and grasping for straws there. And um, but ultimately we did, after dealing with that for a few years, we were able to get rid of that for her. But I found I found that being in the paranormal world for me is therapy, really, because I can tell these incredible stories that really happened to people like you and all these amazing people I've met along the way. And
Mm,
I don't get judged. This family, this community, they it doesn't matter how crazy the story sounds. You can tell your story and people will embrace you and try to share their similar things that they experience and try to help you find ways to cope with whatever it is that you're going through. So I don't feel like, you know it's not something I can talk about at work in front of doctors and nurses, and or at least that I feel like I can't. This so you hold it in and you try to internalize it and deal with it your own way. But I found that this community is my exit for all of that. And I stay in the paranormal field for that reason. There she is. She was a binky baby. And that's
good.
her that's her home and healthy.
Yes.
Pretty cute kid, looks like her dad.
Of course.
um
Oh,
and then
sweet. And so tell me a bit more about, these terrors and what is it? Was she seeing something? Was she like feeling? Did she feel like she was being getting touched by spirit? Was that physical? Was there movement inside the rooms or the house?
yes, we were all having different types of experiences there. Jelena in particular, all of the above. She would we would all be in a room together and she would be having a conversation like the rest of us weren't there with whatever it was that she saw. Sometimes she would be scared and tell it to go away. Sometimes she would just be sitting there talking. But it was mostly in the evening when she would wake up. I could hear her downstairs screaming, and she shared a room with her sister. So I would run down there and grab her and take her upstairs with me. We had stairs that led up to our bedroom, and we heard little kid footsteps running up and down the stairs, or the door between the kitchen and the garage that went upstairs would open and close. There was a night where my Julie, who you saw in the first picture there, her mother worked nights at the time, and she would come home in the mornings early and kind of open up the door and yell up to us to get up and get ready. Well, I thought I'd heard her talking, and I was yelling back down, and Jelena was in the room with me, and I didn't get a response, so I kind of rolled over to go back to sleep. And Jelena said, "Daddy, mommy's not talking to you." And I said, "Oh, okay. I must have been dreaming or something." She goes, "No, somebody else was." So she could see things and hear things
Mm,
that, and
mm,
that actually that particular incident is what led me to go out and buy a digital voice recorder.
wow.
um because now I never was that type of person that would tell the kids, oh, it's all in your head. It doesn't. I would tell her to tell me what she saw and what she heard. I wanted to know what she was experiencing, because I didn't want her to feel like she was imagining things, or I didn't want her to feel like she had this problem that she was going through that nobody understood. So I wanted her to share this with me. So I bought a voice recorder, and sure enough, one of the very first EVP I ever caught was, it sounds like a woman howling. Right, I had the voice recorder on my nightstand, and it sounded like it was right there by the bed by my ear,
Right.
and horrifying. Like, and so after that, I really wanted to find out what this thing was that she was seeing. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a.
So I suppose at that point in time, you were not a medium at the time, you were not, so you had no idea whatsoever about talking or hearing yourself, being a trained person like myself, or, some of my colleagues such as Debbie that you met, Romero. And so you had no idea whatsoever what spirits were about.
Well, I'm going to back up a little bit, because my mother is one of those. She had a lot of experiences when she was younger, and she is very sensitive. She
Right.
doesn't practice. She doesn't
It just
embrace
has
it.
it naturally.
It's yes, correct. Now, with that said, mom would tell me stories of things that happened to her when she was young, and then when I was young, but similar things were happening to me. So I never thought that I was empathic, or I had any gift or anything like that, but stuff would happen to me that I felt like, because I would hear things or see things, and nobody else did, and I thought, nobody's hearing this, like nobody sees this. And but again, the beauty of this community and is meeting people like you, and like Debbie, and the Patty Negris, and the Melissa St. Hilaire's, and that have these gifts. You see them in people. And so I have been told multiple times to start embracing it.
Yes.
To stop being scared of it, because it's there. And so at the time when this was happening with my daughter, I think that I know that I was feeling it and seeing it too. There was one night when I finally saw what she was seeing, and it horrified me. But I didn't, that it made it even worse for me at the time, because I wasn't a practicing medium or anything. I'm still not, but I'm definitely more open to what's happening in the environment. Yes. I pay attention now, and I listen.
So you can hear?
I can hear sometimes. I get more of a pain in my stomach. It's like a cramp. Like if I'm when I'm out on these investigations and there's something happening, or even the other day at work, my coworker, she had this negative vibe, but there was like, I'm going to say it, and it's going to sound crazy, but it was like a color, like a sad color around her.
Right.
And I asked her, I said, hey buddy, what's wrong? And she said, no, just another day, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, like what's wrong?
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and I said, you know what? I said, you don't have to tell me. I'm not trying to pry. I said, but just know that I know, and that if you need somebody to talk to, you can talk to me. And as I was walking away, that's all I said, because I don't want to, push or anything. She just said, Mikey, how do you do that? How do you know? And I said, I see it, I feel it. I just, but again, you don't have to talk about it. I don't want to pry, but just know that I'm there if you need somebody to just talk to.
Yes.
And so it was little things like that happen. But now, before I wouldn't say anything. I'd feel like embarrassed, but now I just say it. If I feel it or I hear or whatever, I just say it, whether I'm right or wrong or whatever, because you never know, somebody might be going through something, and that might be the thing that they needed to hear or
definitely. Yes, of course. So you said that actually you've started being busier and busier with the paranormal investigation, and I have a video to share with the others where tell us a bit more about the context, and then we can have a look a little bit at this video, which is not very long actually, but it will give us an idea of what you do and how you do it.
Okay, yeah. So I had the privilege of going to here in Texas, in Mineral Wells, Texas. There's the Haunted Hill House, the most haunted house in Texas.
Oh.
And there was an event put on by Paraflix and the Ghost Hunter girls. Patty Negri was there. And I'm sharing this clip in particular because there was a special moment there. We had a gentleman that was that attended with his daughter. He was hearing impaired. And he wanted to go there because a friend of his had gone and had an experience, and he wanted to see. So this clip is us. We're up in one of the children's bedrooms, and there was some tragedy that happened there with this child. And the gentleman asked if there was something that they could do, the spirits, to let him know that they were present, because he can't hear, or he's got to sense it differently. So this clip is a beautiful example of paranormal activity happening, getting caught. But and for me, it was one of the greatest pieces of, or things I've witnessed as a paranormal investigator. So it was all that wrapped in one. But it's a beautiful clip, and it's not very long, but I think the audience will get what's going on, and I'm happy to share it.
Okay.
Excited.
And while you do these investigations, do you use any particular device?
Well, so going back to when I started all of this, I started buying all the stuff that the ghost hunters were using on TV, right? So I'm kind of the equipment nerd. Everybody makes fun of me because I come in with like 7 bags. So I pretty much have everything you've seen on TV.
Okay.
This particular investigation was being hosted by Paraflix. So in these situations, I have stuff if we need it, but I didn't set it up or host it. I have a rig that I carry with me, which you'll see the IR camera that I used. There were already REM pods in place, and I have Mel meters and EDI pluses. Like it depends on what's happening in the room, like what type of environmental things that are there that we need to try to prove with the equipment. So if there's temperature changes, if there's movement, we have all of these different pieces of equipment to measure those things. And but in this particular case, I just had my IR camera out. Patty Negri was using her dowsing rods, but we had a room full of mediums and people that were just guests. And I really feel like that a lot of times it depends on the combination of people that are there and the intent. And especially this clip is important because I feel like this gentleman who's hearing impaired, he wanted to have a paranormal experience too. And he did. He sure did. And we all got to be a part of it and witness it. So I've always been told by people in this field that the best piece of equipment you can take into an investigation is yourself.
Wow.
And so you really have to pay attention to the environment. And
so it is actually the experience in itself. It's not to do with listening to this piece of equipment that reproduces or not. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at this video. So I'm going to share. And here.
Hi. Hi. Who is that?
Hello. He's deaf. Would you try to talk to him in a different way?
What? Yeah. Maybe if you touch him?
Will you touch him? Yeah. I think he likes you.
Yes.
He's a nice man.
Can you touch his hand?
My father's he really loves to play with kids. He's very animated because he can't really talk, so he plays.
Oh. Joshua, can you touch his hand? Can you touch Joseph's hand? Can you go around and touch someone in the room?
Oh.
No freaking way.
That's right here.
No, that is the secret passage room.
What's that?
That is the passage room.
Did you feel that?
That it's somebody hit something.
What was that?
Isn't there a ball
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
So very interesting, isn't it? Because there was a knock, and I, looked suddenly. Now I saw Patty with the rods, and But I also saw that there was like a low door where they walked under. What was in there? What was going on?
So the way this house was built in the early 1900s, and it was common to have, with the upstairs, they had like off the room was a passageway or another little doorway that led into an open attic space. So, and I forgot to mention, we were some of the staff had the necrophonic apps. That's what you heard, the little voices coming through the spirit box, the necrophonic. So, so the noise or the knocks that we heard came from that attic space, that door behind there, and then it went around and behind the gentleman that was hearing impaired. So he felt the knocks, he felt the vibrations of the knocks, and he even says, "I felt it." So you'll see towards the end of the clip, Natalie got up and went back to immediately, and then we followed. There's more video of us following, but there's absolutely no one back there. The only people that were in that area were in that room before that happened, and I have a lot more footage of that. There were, interestingly though, there were footprints, like shoe prints back there from what I'm assuming when people had been back there before, but there were also bare footprints back there, like small feet prints. You could see the outline of a foot and the little toes, I think. So that was interesting too, but we definitely went in there right away to see, there's got to be somebody in there because the knocks were so loud, and there absolutely wasn't. So that was, the other part was there was another group that was investigating downstairs, and they had a whole separate experience. The knocks that we heard, they heard as well, but it sounded like it was running across the ceiling to them. And so there's another clip from what they experienced, and they played those simultaneously. So two totally different experiences, but the knocks were so loud, literally couldn't help but think that somebody's got to be up there running and banging as they go. But
sorry to interrupt you, has there been ever a situation where you felt that you had put yourself in a kind of difficult situation with the spirit? I just want to investigate and dig a deeper in terms of, like me as a medium. Okay, I have developed my own theory because I talk to spirit, and my understand that there is like an area or waiting room before we move on to the light and further up. Now there are some spirits when we die as humankind, that we are in this waiting room, and some they will just move on quite soon. Some others decide to remain in this environment, which is like almost an in-between kind of. And I feel that the spirits that you're dealing with, they've never passed on to the light. They are like decided for whichever reason to not pass to the light. Have you ever, thought of that, or have you ever been able to speak to any spirit in particular?
Yeah, actually, another great experience earlier this year actually was at the Glen Tavern Inn in Santa Paula, where the mediums, we were surrounded by mediums, but I love working with the mediums and using the tech, because as soon as you tell me you hear something or feel something, I'm putting equipment on you. So they were picking up on this woman that they felt like was being held back by a spirit, an evil spirit there. We moved down to another room, and the medium said, "Now I feel a soft guy, like a nice, gentle guy in here." But when we were in that room, on our way to investigate, the woman that had been terrorized, that they were sensing in the other room, had been asking for help. We got audible help me, EVPs and things like that.
Okay.
So when we got into the other room, I asked the mediums, I said, should we try to help break her away from this evil guy and so she can pass? Like, what's your process? So we had this conversation with the mediums there. Melissa explained what they normally do. I said, let's do it. Let's do it. So we did this. She set it up. She said, we're all going to focus our energy. We're going to open the veil. We're going to, whatever the steps are that we do. And was recording it as we go. And at one point, playing back the recorder, we all heard it sounded like a whoosh, like something taking off, like a whoosh. We caught it on the recorder to the point where everyone in the room goes, did we just hear her leave? Like, was that a whoosh? It was so, yeah. But the best part of this was, and I actually have a clip for you, is I said, what about the soft, gentle guy here? Do you think that he was stuck on this part of the house because he was intimidated by the evil spirit that was holding her back? Do you think that maybe he cared about her and that he wanted to go? And so the mediums were talking to this gentle spirit, asking him if, to go with her. And we get an EVP of him saying, will I be okay? And when we heard that, the emotion in the room, we all got a little teary-eyed and said, yes, go with her, go be with her, she'll be okay. So and it's funny that you say that, because I don't see it like you would, or like, the other mediums and psychics that I've had the privilege of working with. But I've been told that because of what I do, that I'm helping the living during the day, but at night, there are people that have not passed or that are lost that kind of hang out around me looking for help.
Yes.
Is what I've been told. And
yes.
I feel like that's kind of like, as a matter of fact, one medium called me an angel of death, but not in a bad way. He said you're a beacon to the dead that are lost, and they come to you, and because they know that you help. And I'm like, I've never passed anybody across you. I don't know what to do. And he goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, there's an army of people behind you when you come in the room. So I haven't got to experience that like you do. But I know what's going on. I can feel it, so so back in, earlier this year with we called him the nice guy, to hear that, will I be okay, was just, that was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment.
Wow, how amazing. So, right. So, I see that you have a YouTube channel. So basically, there are a few videos there for the ones of you that are interested. What is the name on your new YouTube channel, Mikey?
Well, it's Scar Society, and I've got some older stuff on there from when I was younger, and mind you, I'm editing all these myself, so forgive. But I've got a lot more content that I'm going to be putting up. But I've got a little more extensive clip of what we saw here from the Haunted Hill House. There was a great interaction I had at the Barn Theater in Porterville, California, with children. We were playing hide and seek, and there was a woman on stage. We were doing the Estes method, and I was hiding behind the seats, and she was saying what she could hear in the box, and it was children saying, "Where's Mikey?" and things like that. So
they are aware of you as such.
I think so. And then I've got clips on my website, scarssociety.com, that has some of the EVPs that we've got, some of the investigations that we've done.
There are some other videos that I might put on actually in a second, but I just wanted to say, how is your daughter doing now? How old is she?
She's 22, and she's doing prerequisites for nursing. She wants to be an RN. She's working as a store manager for UPS. She's like full-time job.
How old is she?
22.
22, you said.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. Has she become ever curious or maybe wanting to develop further with spirit, or is something that once she's grown old enough, she's put on the back of her memory and doesn't want to deal with it?
I've actually asked her about this. and her response is she doesn't really remember what happened with little man. What she remembers is me and how it was affecting me. So she remembers me being upset. She remembers me coming down in the middle of the night and grabbing her out of her bed and running her upstairs. She remembers me being upset and things like that. I asked her one time, well, actually, we were driving down Main Street during a holiday, and you know, when they're doing 4th of July sales or whatever, they have the big blow up funny arm guys.
Oh yes, yeah.
We were driving by a furniture store that had one of those out front, and she said, "Daddy, Daddy, look, there's little man." And I looked at that thing flopping around in the wind, and I thought, that's the best way she can describe it to me. But what was she seeing at night? What was that? What was hovering over her? What was happening with that? You know? And it was horrifying to me still. But but as far as now goes, we don't. I don't ask her to come on investigations with me or anything like that, because I feel like what was happening, I really, you know, if we're going to break it down even deeper, I really feel like something came back with her. Whatever we were experiencing at home, I think something attached or whatever, and just thought maybe, hey, there's a free ride back in, and that's what started all this. So I guess my fear is I don't want to open that back up, or I feel like she's already vulnerable. You know, she coded when she was an infant, when she was a newborn, she coded when she drowned. She's had multiple near-death experiences. So I don't want to expose her to that again, or I don't know. I couldn't go through something like that again. I feel like I wouldn't want to put her through that, you know.
I suppose I agree with you, and the thing is that you cannot impose it onto anyone. It's a personal journey, and you know, I understand as a child, having had myself a near-death experience at the age of 8. You know, that was an experience that I could never forget. Yet nobody had talked to me about anything like that before. You know, being a child, they would try to tell me that, you know, it was all made up sort of thing. But actually hovering in the theater, operating theater, you know, and just seeing the doctors operating and trying to get me back to breathe, and, you know, and me like being afraid of being blown away somewhere, because I tried to hang on to something, but I couldn't catch anything, like hold on to a wall. In fact, I actually moved across the wall into the corridor of the hospital, and it was dark gray, and in fact, I couldn't really see colors, as I remember that. And then I moved gently back into the room, because I went like, I don't want to start moving around and I'm going to get lost or disappear. You know, I was there only so young. So what happened was that then suddenly I was back into my body like that, you see. Wow. So, and then fast forward, 40 years or something, you know, like I'm here. And to be honest with you, throughout, you know, my teenage years and so on and so forth, I've had experience of spirit. I could either see it or hear it, but I kept suppressing it because I wasn't ready. I was scared. I didn't know what that was about, you know. So I suppose, like, as your daughter has been exposed to that, it's not to be excluded that further down into her life, you know, in her 40s or 50s, whatever, you know, she might feel, you know, the call to look into it and expand that, you see. Yeah. That's, you know, it's not something that you can, you know, trigger her into it. But I understand as a father that you don't want to go and disturb that, because it was traumatic, the experience, the death.
Well, and I think too that, you know, you asked if I if I'd ever experienced passing someone over. That time with the nice guy earlier this year was kind of the big thing. But in my profession, I unfortunately, I spend a lot of time with death, and there's been a lot of times in my career that, I used to work in a facility near a veterans home, and some of these guys would come in and they outlived their families. So, but I wouldn't let anyone die alone. I would stay with them.
Beautiful.
And I would say that I somehow I knew, and I would stay with them and hold their hand. Babies, infants that were abandoned by their parents or that were dying, I would take them to the nursery and sit in the rocking chair and rock them until they passed. I knew they were gone. I just knew they were gone. I could tell.
Yeah.
And that's weird, I guess, but I wasn't trying to cross them over or anything like that. I just wanted them to know, to go out feeling human touch and love. And that's what I could do at the time. I couldn't help them spiritually get over whatever, but I could hold them and love them until they were gone. And then I could tell when they were gone. And that's happened. COVID was horrible, but, but I'd spent a lot of time doing that for a lot of people because your families couldn't be there. So that's all, sometimes we were all they had. And anybody in the medical field watching this understands that. So,
yes.
but for me, I kind of feel like I've come full circle, because I feel like I do help people in the living, and I feel like, yes, I've learned how to help the people that have passed as well, or I'm learning. I'm still learning.
And this is why you are a beacon of light. You are very close in a way to being a doula, really, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
I think you are, actually. And, and you make of it what you do. But the thing is that it sounds as if, like you are being of service to spirit in a way that a lot of people would find quite intimidating, or
really?
they would find, scared. And maybe, you go and watch one of these Hollywood movies and then you're off there forever, Whereas, have you ever experienced like materialization or objects moving across the rooms, or other than hearing clearly the knocking on, as we saw earlier on the video, the knocking on the wall and all of that?
There were, at the house. Well, so the house where we were when Jelena drowned, and then the house afterwards. But there were things that were happening so frequently, like the bedroom doors opening and closing. Like the kids and I would be piled up on the couch watching a movie. They would all, like, tuck in the cracks, and all four of us would be there watching a movie.
Yeah.
And my bedroom door was to the right of the TV, and we'd all sit there and watch it just. And then I'd look back at the kids, and Jelena, the one that drowned, she goes, "Yeah, that happens all the time, Dad." She goes, "Normally you guys are in there asleep, so we don't come wake you up." Because she goes, "It's going to close in a second. Don't worry." And then the door would go and close.
Oh, God.
So it was almost like, for her and I, it was normal. The other two kids were freaking out. They're like, "What is happening in here?"
I can see why.
Yeah. So, but now, it's interesting. I've been told to be careful. The deeper I delve into this stuff and the longer I do it, that the more those things would happen. But really, they don't as much anymore. I don't feel like I'm bringing things home, or things are attaching to me. I'm not, I do occasionally. I'll wake up because I hear a little child talking to me. One night I woke up because I heard a little girl speaking in Spanish to me. I obviously I couldn't make it out. I don't speak Spanish, but I knew it was Spanish. And I just kind of laughed at that, but it's not scary. It's not Hollywood. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm like, what do you need? Well, how can I help you? Like, kind of a thing, so.
Yes, of course, absolutely. And, there is this thing that, as part of the conscious evolution school, which, I've opened because of Spirit asking me, is just like to try and bring forward the numerous aspects of spirit, and above all, healing through connection with spirit and helping others. And you fall exactly into that sort of category whereby, you know, you do experience spirit in your own way, and you have this beautiful, gentle approach, you know, not just to the departed ones and spirits that come to you because they see you being like a beacon of light. But on the other side, you know, because of your profession and being a nurse, you know, you're able to be close to the dying and to the people. And in fact, I do have a couple of guests that will be coming next year who are actually doulas. And they work with ancestral healing, and they work with, you know, all sorts of other, you know, elements, but it's part of what they do in this physical 3D life. And it's so important to be close to the dying, as much as to the soul that we become afterwards, because what it is just a transmutation of the energy from being from within this body on the outside, on the other side, basically. So actually we experience, in a way, if you like, and I don't know if you agree with me, but, you know, we inhabit this body because we are here to experience life on earth. But that is not the end. It's just part of an eternal energy, which is not created, not distracted ever, where we move on to experience, make other type of experiences elsewhere, if you like.
Yeah.
What is your opinion around this? Because you've been very close to deaths and people dying, as well as dealing with the paranormal.
I really, and this is very recent actually, I feel like our goal is exactly like you said, is to help people, whether they're living or dying. We all have a very similar purpose in that way, but most importantly, I've been doing a lot of self healing and self, because none of that happens if I'm not okay, and none of that happens if you're not okay. So I think we really all of us need to turn around and put a lot of that attention that we're putting into other projects and other people into ourselves. Correct. Because we really we're pretty capable of doing some amazing things. We're so distracted by all of the other things that we don't invest the time that, you know, if you're building a house as a construction worker and you're building this beautiful home, if you were to stop and put that same energy into yourself, you know, you could really benefit and then help others even more, I think. So I'm really slowing down a little bit, and I'm really listening to myself, and I'm meeting my needs, and I'm doing what I need to do for myself in order to continue on helping others. And it's really helping me do that for other people. I feel like my attitude's changed. I don't get mad like I did all the time, you know, before. It's important. So, and because you're right, because this is just my vessel that I was given here. This is my car that I'm driving through this earth. Yes. What's in here and what's inside of you is what's going to live on, and this has to be okay. I have to take care of that.
And I think that inner research and the refocusing from the outside, looking for answers outside, to refocus within ourselves and to find that inner connection. Because really, I mean, we probably would stretch this into a different kind of chart, but some of the theories say that when we are born, a lot of people, not everyone, I've met some that have never forgotten, but most of the people, when they're born, the babies have forgotten about this connection to the soul.
Yeah.
And so we spend the rest of our lives trying to heal so many aspects of relationships, personal, and it becomes all about discovering about ourselves. And the more we kind of, if I may use the word, better ourselves and discovering our weaknesses, turning, transmuting them into beautiful, the best version that we can be, then yes, of course, we cleanse all of that muck, which is the 3D and the ego. And therefore, we can become the purest channels we can be to help spirit. But also we become far better people to help others on this life that they need a light and the support of, you know, because they haven't, I suppose they haven't woken up yet, or not completely. Hence, they would bump into your path and they would understand suddenly why.
Yeah, I feel like I agree. I think that I think that we're detoxing when we do that. Like you said, we're getting rid of that 3D, and that by working on yourself, you are able to I see things clear, situations clear. You hit the nail on the head when you said people aren't going to do it until they're ready to do it. I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face, but until that light switch goes off for you, you're not going to do it. But I might say something based on one of my experiences that you can relate to that might help trigger that light switch.
Right.
So I feel like it's my responsibility to share and my responsibility to try to help, because I'm not going to
yourself.
I'm not going to make anybody do anything.
No.
But it may be what they needed to hear to get them going. That's happened to me. There's been plenty of times where I've been bummed out, laying around on the couch, whatever, and something comes on the TV or something comes on the radio that I needed to hear at that time, and it got me moving again. So I feel like, and that's helped me grow outward too. Like I was that guy on the investigations that was kind of in the corner with my camera, keeping my mouth shut, because I didn't feel like it was my place to say anything or to speak on what I was feeling or hearing, because it was my environment or my investigation. I now when I feel those things or hear, I ask, hey, can I, share? Or because I might say the one thing that someone else in the room was experiencing, but they were afraid to ask. Right. So don't hold it in. Don't listen to yourself and be that tool and be that voice. You may not help anybody that day. You may help 1 out of 100 the next week, but it doesn't matter. You just keep going and you keep trying to do your best.
Exactly. And that's what I always say, like if I could only make the difference to one person today, then I have achieved my purpose, because I truly believe in the snowball effect as well,
Yeah.
So
I've learned that too, that there's more opportunities that come along, the more genuine and the more open you are, and the more the better intentions you have, right? There's more things that open up for you. Because I feel like that's a little prize that you get for learning how to do things and being more open and genuinely trying to help others, and you get more opportunities and things like that. So it's been a great couple of years for me in the paranormal.
yeah. I'm sure there is a lot, that one last question before we wrap up this lovely conversation we finally managed to make happen. Do you think paranormal has made stride or changes in the past 20-30 years, or it's always, do you think it can help in any way with go on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm finished.
Well, I that's a great question, and I love this question because the answer is we still don't know. We still don't know. I don't know. You don't. I can't tell you, okay, Daniel, you want to talk to grandma? Go over to the phone and punch these numbers in, and then now we figured it out. Now you can just call this and hear it. Nobody knows. So there's still all we have are people's personal experiences.
Yes.
All we have are whatever evidence we've caught on cameras and voice recorders and things like that. But we still nobody can walk into a haunted area and put XYZ pieces of equipment up and get ABC evidence back. It just doesn't happen. It's still so random. So back in the 16, 17, 1800s, when, you know, people were feeling stuff and hearing stuff, we're still doing that today. We're still using our bodies and ourselves to pay attention to the environment and to learn, you know, what's happening. If it's good, go to it. If it's bad, run away from it. There's no piece of equipment out there that can do that for us yet. I love the process, though. I love that people are now more open to it. It's not taboo so much anymore as it was, right?
Yeah.
There's a time and when a medium wouldn't want to come out and say they were a medium because they would be afraid of the backlash that they would get.
That's right. Yes,
So,
that's right. I have Abla here that is leaving a written comment saying, very interesting story. Glad your daughter survived. That was amazing. Thank God it's spirit. And Abla feels that your daughter will be a medium when she's older.
wow.
Which is, you know, like not surprising at all, to be honest with you, because we touched base on that, you know. So it's just amazing to have had the opportunity to have this chat, because as I mentioned earlier, I really feel that paranormal has been used a lot by, you know, the big you know, entities such as, I don't know, Hollywood, to make spooky things. But I truly believe there is a lot more to it.
Yes.
You know, and perhaps technology one day will help, as it develops, will help to create the scientific base to prove, to give that proof of life together, perhaps with the mediums that can channel also the messages, you know?
Yeah. Well, and people are going to want to profit from anything if it's possible, right? And
Yeah,
but I've also had the privilege of working with people in Hollywood that love doing these types of shows and things like that, because they love seeing the people that are truly hurting get some kind of help.
right.
And I think the big thing for this, for all of us moving forward, especially the ones who are having experiences at home and are afraid, is to just break the silence. Don't be afraid to share your experience. Don't be afraid to Google or look online to something, you know, to a shadow man in the bathroom, because somebody somewhere has gone through that. They're just afraid to talk about it. They don't want the consequences from whatever or whoever. Forget that. There's probably more people now that have had similar experiences that can help you than there are haters that are going to talk trash about you. So break the silence and ask for help or look for help.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I must say, I do get calls from people in Italy by words of mouth, because they are having this phenomena in their homes, and I'm able to actually sit down with them, do a session, and find out who these ghosts were, why they hadn't left, what do they want, why are they scaring these people at night. And they don't do it even intentionally. And I find that the vast majority of times, these are souls that have never accepted to have left the body and earth. And somehow they feel they have still a lot to say. And somehow, you know, they've never come across a medium or someone that can help them cross to the light. Because once I talk to them, then, you know, I don't think I've ever had any ghost that eventually, after saying what they needed to say, refused eventually to go. They might have taken them a few weeks or a month or 6 weeks or something. I can't remember exactly now, but, you know, they knew where I was, and eventually they moved over and they came back to say thank you because they hadn't realized. So it's like moving in this in-between dimensions, you know, sometimes. And I am sure that there will be some malignant entity. Unfortunately, I've only had 1 or 2 occasions, and thank God, you know, the light and the love always wins. And this is what it is all about. It's about love, isn't it, Mikey?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd like to just add to that, because I think the relationship that I've been fortunate to have with mediums, you know, like how you just explained that scenario. And I don't know if this is too graphic for your viewers or not to share, but I have witnessed beautiful deaths, people passing peacefully and no just ready to go, and it's a beautiful thing. I've also seen people die tragic, horrible deaths that their primal fear is kicking in as they're actively dying. They're fighting all the way out and they don't want to go. And so and again, I apologize if I don't want to upset anyone, but I say that only because you were sharing that about the spirits coming to you that don't even know they're gone. What about those ones that died like that? What about the ones that had the horrible tragic?
That is the big thing that I have experienced a few minutes after the death of a young man drowning. And he said, I didn't expect that. This was not my moment. So I've asked him some personal details, which I had some friends with me. I told them what was going on. I was like in tears because I went like, what do I do? You know, how can I help? There was like, 20 police cars and, trying to look for the body. And, eventually he said, I don't feel like it was yet my time, but this has happened. And he had to accept it. And a lot of times, sudden deaths and tragic deaths, they leave the soul really and truly shocked, to the point where they will spend some time needing healing before they move on to the lights, because they would, as you say, they would fight. Even when they've left the body, they will still fight the reasons why they died in such a tragic way. So, it's not all straightforward in a sense,
No, not at all.
I consider myself extremely grateful that I am one of those that can help or can understand, the limits of life and the beauty, the magnitude of passing over and, and of the life beyond. Because we will never talk about death, but we will talk about, life in all its forms, whether they are inhabiting the body or not.
Yeah. And what a beautiful gift to have. What a beautiful gift to have. And it's so beautiful to be a part of it. Because like I said, I feel like right now, I can only carry the football so far, and then I hand it off, but I get to experience the rest of it by working with
yes, absolutely. And it's an absolute privilege to work with spirit. So, Mikey, thank you ever so much. I hope that we will have another opportunity in the new year to get together.
Yes.
And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to everyone that has popped in and to say hi or just to watch this. But this video will be available on YouTube. And next week, we have the lovely Nigel Wharton that comes back, and we will be doing healing and meditation, and it's going to be lovely. And thank you so much, Mikey, for coming along, and I'm sure we will talk soon again.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate yours, definitely. And thank you so much for the precious work you do in hospitals.
Oh, well, it's a blessing.
Because that's really, really important and beautiful.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much.
God bless you. And thank you, everyone. And I'll see you next week. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye. Bye.